pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Kurt? Food.
Oh.
Okay. 3.2.
If I may, I'd like to remember Mrs. Vandenberg, Mrs. Noni Vandenberg, who was a vital part of our staff and our school district. We lost about 2 weeks ago, and observe a moment of silence if we could. Thank you.
Okay. Item 4. Approval amendment of meeting agenda.
I would like to add an announcement in the form of a 12.2 OSBA State Convention.
So in the motion, does that need to be said?
Anything else?
I make the motion to approve the agenda for September 12th, 2016 as presented with the update to 11.2 elementary volunteer approval and the addition of 12.2 OSBA annual convention.
Second.
What did we do? We added an announcement and then,
The elementary volunteers is updated and it's in your package.
oh, what do I have printed here? Because it's not in the printed one.
Sorry, I missed that.
It's in your packet. It is, I think it's on the computer.
It's on the
but
computer, but
It is,
it's
but it's
not.
updated there.
7.2. No, that's consent agenda. Yeah, but that's on the consent.
Yes.
So what did we add?
You're adding an amended elementary volunteer approval into consent.
And then his announcement about the OSBA.
And
Yes.
12.2 announcement of OSBA State Convention.
Okay. So I can't really use this because this is, all right, it's been moved and seconded to approve the change of the agenda, which you're just gonna have to help me with because I don't have one.
Got two.
All those in favor? I have that, I don't have a paper copy of the agenda. I have that. I don't have what's on my computer printing. So, it doesn't matter. Well,
And maybe 11.2 and the 12.2 convention.
Approval of minutes.
I move that we approve the minutes for August 22nd, 2016 as presented.
One second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Correspondence.
I have none, Madam Chair.
Public comment?
I'm full of good news tonight, since it just ended about 2 minutes ago before I walked in. Burns won 28-6 tonight in the JV game. Second bit of news, as most of you probably already know, I'm going to be leaving the Examiner here soon. I am being transferred to the Herald and News in Klamath. So I don't know exactly when my departure is going to be, because that depends on how quickly we can hire a replacement. We are actively working on that. So this may be my last meeting, or I may be here for the next one to introduce our new person, but they want me in Klamath here soon. So I may be splitting time between both newspapers for the next several weeks as we make the transition. So just so you know, you'll have a new reporter covering education here very soon.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Congratulations, Kurt, and I just want to say on behalf of myself that you've done an excellent job of coverage for this district, and you will be missed.
Thank you.
I was gonna say that at the end too, but I really appreciate your proper use of grammar.
Both parents are school teachers, so that's been reinforced from an early age.
Yeah, so good luck, congratulations. I'm glad we might get to see you again though. Okay, reports. Facilities update.
Well, I will speak to the ADA project, and Mrs. Warner can certainly chime in too. We had a very productive 2 days of laying the turf in what is going to be the new soccer field. And fantastic turnout from our staff, and we had Forest Services, BLM both come in and give us a hand, and I'm just very pleased with the community effort in doing that song at ADA. This looks absolutely gorgeous down there. So, Susan, you want to chime in?
Well, I prepared this whole report about the ADA playground. No, I'm just kidding. I
Did I steal your thunder?
I think that it was, it happened at a good time. We were really pretty stressed because DOC had been pulled out on a fire. And we had thought that they would lay that sod, and, well, we just put the word out, and like Will said, when this community needs something, people just pull together, and we had 60+ people out there laying sod, and in 3 hours, 2 semi-loads of sod were done. It was amazing, and the field looks great because it did not sit, and it was laid so fast, and Sam had sprinklers on it again by 12 o'clock noon that day when they came in that morning. So, pretty impressive.
Do you want to talk soccer field and DMS?
Well, first of all, I got a call today from Greg over at Klamath, with the planning department, and he checked out the elevator is in over there. Little glitch, he cannot sign off on it because the, sprinklers that should go in the shaft the line didn't get in before the elevator did. So, I have not been able to hit base with Daryl, for a couple of days now. We've been missing each other. So, I don't know what the start time on the sprinklers are gonna be. I'm hoping relatively soon, and so we can get this finished. So basically the elevator's in, unusable because we can't get it signed off until we get that line running in there and actual sprinkler head working. So that was a little bit of good news actually. The floor that the subcontractor tore up when they brought in the elevator, I need to go over there. I did not make it there today, however they want me to go check it out and make sure that it was done properly. I haven't looked at it, haven't seen it, so that was another check-off list thing, so that's pretty much the wrap-up on DMS until I get a hold of Daryl. The soccer field, so while I had Greg on the phone, I said, what can I put my poles in the ground? Right out here, and of course, there was a little bit of hang-up in the planning office, not on our behalf, but unforeseen circumstance there, so they told us to go ahead and dig the holes, so I'm gonna put Sam on that as soon as he can pull away and dig the holes. Just have to have those holes inspected, and then they'll be happy with Surprise Valley Electric's on standby essentially to come and set those for us and let us fill it in right quick as soon as they're tall enough to get done. So that's a pretty easy little project that just got delivered by a couple weeks, obviously. So coming along, and I think we have the water issue kind of semi-fixed on it being too wet, I believe. Maybe? I don't.
I do believe it, yeah.
No, not at 80
it's
hay,
the
right here.
soccer
Right out here, we've had
Soft
squishy
spots.
places.
It squishes on 80 hay when you walk on it.
Well, it
It
might,
comes over a sand
on the
like
new,
this
on
high.
the new piece,
No, I'm not walking on the new stuff.
Good.
No.
The big orange fence.
No, I mean, it's pretty squishy. I mean, it looks lovely, but
Right.
it may not need that much. don't
I wonder
know.
if it's overlapping our menu stuff. Is it that close to it, or is it?
It's all the way out into the middle of the
Okay.
field.
All I have to do is let them know that they may be getting. And the weather changed on us, so when it's cooler,
Cooler.
it's not gonna soak up that, you know,
Evaporation.
yeah. So I'll let them know that it's squishy.
It's a little squishy. My shoes were so.
Yeah. So, that's about all on our facilities right at the moment.
Any questions? Building principal reports.
Okay, for the high school, middle school, so registration now kind of complete, kind of a clear picture on where we're at numbers wise. Right now, we're at 109 total middle school students compared to 112 last year. And 248 in the high school compared to 264 last year. We registered 26 new students. And you might say, well, that doesn't make sense. But we lost, the graduating class last year was like 72, and we gained in the mid-50s in our 8th grade class. So that's the discrepancy. So we ended up registering about 26 new students, had a few students leave. So that's where we're at numbers-wise. We're a little down from last year right now. Orientation day was held on the 6th. Middle school students began the day with a general session with staff introductions, held that in the cafeteria. And after that, we sent the students out in breakout sessions with administrators and counselors just to cover various school rules, policies, things that they would need to know. And then we ended the breakout session with those kids going into the gym and learning the fight song and the anthem and going through kind of some assembly protocol and things like that. And then they went out on a mock schedule and met with all their teachers for about 15 minutes in each class. And then we served lunch for high school and middle school, and then they got on a bus and went home about 12:15, 12:30, and then we had an open house the rest of the day for all parents, and then 9th through 12th graders to come pick up their schedules. Same as it's been the last 3 or 4 years. Attendance that day, as we take attendance because the middle schoolers were in classes, and then the high schoolers picked up their schedules, so we were able to track that. Attendance was over 92% that day, which I thought was phenomenal. Feedback overall was really good. The staff enjoyed that day to kind of get things going, and I think it saves some time in the long run with the kids knowing what to expect and with their schedules and things like that. Just some dates. Obviously, you guys all know homecoming week. We're starting that today. Today's first day of homecoming week. It's early. Product of the only having 3 home games for football, but we started off with JV football tonight. We got a home girls soccer match tomorrow at 4:30. Wednesday's kind of our activity day for homecoming. We got He-Man +2 volleyball tournament at 6:30, followed by we're doing a bonfire this year. We added that activity back. Kids are really excited about that. Fire department's willing to come down and oversee that for us and have a truck here and do that. So then Thursday night we have home girls volleyball, and then Friday again doing a little something different without having a parade this year for homecoming, which you guys may field some questions on, just for many reasons. Mostly was the kids. The kids, I don't know if ran its course is the right term, but the kids were really excited about this new activity and getting away from that a little bit. And it keeps us on a more normal schedule. So we're gonna do an afternoon assembly on the football field where we'll introduce the court, and we've got an activity planned. And then that night is varsity football at 7 o'clock.
So what is it that you're replacing the parade with? I'm just curious.
We're doing an assembly and activity at the end of the day. And then the bonfire, activity, if you want.
Because didn't you used to do the assembly and the parade?
We did a
as
short,
well?
real short assembly to introduce the court, and then we went out to the parade. Yeah.
So what time is that on Friday afternoon?
2:30 will be that assembly. And then, obviously the football game that night, the big event. Got some halftime festivities planned, I think. And then Saturday, we got a huge day Saturday with the tall man tournament and girls soccer, and then the homecoming dance that night. So it's a full week. And then other than that, and just other dates, we have school pictures on September 21st. I think that's about it.
What is the Tall-Man tournament?
Our volleyball tournament that we host every year.
I'm not up on that other kid stuff.
Be here before you know it. Okay, do we have any questions? Mrs. Warner?
We are looking at enrollment of 47 at Union, which is very similar to what they've had up at Union. And it's pretty steady. We only have one sixth grader out there now. We had several sixth graders that came to town, so those younger classrooms, we've got one that's a little small, but some pretty good sized classrooms to help keep that enrollment steady. And then we're at 353 for Hay and Fremont for a total of 400 kids at the elementary, which is a nice, strong, healthy number. The majority of our increase for our enrollment came in the kindergarten and at the Fremont buildings. We're pretty steady as to what we were last year for the Hay building, but Fremont gained quite a few new kids. So our kindergarten classrooms, we have several classrooms that are a little bit bigger than what we'd like to see, but we're providing those teachers with some extra aid support and some things that way. We did send out a letter to all our fifth grade parents when our classes reached 30 apiece, that we have room at Union if they would like to consider that, and we had 4 students go out there. So, trying to juggle that around and trying to keep some equity there as best we can. Our orientation day format changed just a little bit in that we've held multiple sessions for our parents throughout the day, and our teachers were talking to like 5 parents at a time. So we held a general session, and we had a great turnout. We didn't have enough chairs in that gym for our turnout, and each grade level had just a couple minutes to introduce themselves, put faces with names for those community members, and then they visited just a tiny bit about expectations, and then they had a larger session after that general session in their classrooms for parents to ask more detailed questions. Kids put their backpacks away, their school supplies, and then went on their way. We did have some parents straggle in here and there throughout the day, but it made the day much more efficient. They could hold some grade level meetings, and we held some transition meetings for some kids coming into school as well, and it kind of helped us get back on track after our in-service kind of got interrupted a little bit. During our in-service week, we had Steve Wyborny on Tuesday come in from Ontario to be math coach, and that was really successful. He has agreed to do a virtual classroom with a couple of classrooms down here from Ontario, where he would teach lessons on a smartboard for our kids, or up on a multimedia machine. He would be teaching math lessons and interacting with the teacher, and they would be talking about different ways to do a math problem. And so he would like to set that up about January, and so I have a couple teachers that might be interested in doing that with him to try it out. He does it with a couple other places, one in Montana and one in Venezuela, I think. So something fun kind of to try with the kids. We also had kindergarten camp that was funded through the ESD for about half of our kindergarten kiddos. And the first week of school went so smooth for those kindergarten classrooms, even though they had lots of bodies. They went really smooth because those other little guys had been through the cafeteria lines, they'd been through recess, they'd been through walking in line and how to go to the bathroom, and where they were located, just kind of the rules and procedures. And it just went really smooth. It was very helpful to have that. So I went to Mr. Nash and Mr. Katie and I put in a pitch to keep this going with any ESD funds that we can use to do that.
I believe he has at least probably 2 more years of funding to continue it.
That's what he's indicated, is there's a possibility of 2 more years funding, and I put in a pitch to extend it to all of our kindergartners, because we only did about half of them, but it would sure benefit all of them. We're sending 4 teachers and Brady Harris is our elementary counselor to a poverty conference in the middle of October. Our staff has chose to really focus on how we can help kids that are in poverty in our community as we see that level rise in our community. And we want some more strategies to work with those kiddos and how to recognize what their needs are. The Hay Playground, just a couple little notes in addition to what Mr. Cahill and I were saying. The community partners that we had, there were a lot of staff members out there. There were, and it was everybody from custodians to teachers. We had Pelatac, BLM, Forest Service, all were there. The juvenile department, LHS football players. We had a few soccer players that came down, and just people. The AYSO soccer parents showed up to help, some of them. And I just think that's a great cross-section of our community and what we can do in a time of need. But we really gave Sam and Rob a giant task, and they completed it quickly and efficiently and just did a super job, and I think we're fortunate to have them in our maintenance staff. Calendar, I just have a couple calendar things. For those of us that don't all have a high school kid, and has a little guy, picture day at Fremont Hay is October 3rd, coming up. Yeah, I know, we got people that have little kids, so write that down. And then, on a regular basis, the last Friday of every month, we hold a PBIS assembly, which is our behavior systems. So our behavior system, we do 2 walkthroughs a year, one at the beginning of the year and one after winter break for the Fremont Hay kids. And they go through and they go from station to station learning about the procedures in each area, the playground, bathroom expectation, hallway expectations, office, cafeteria. And so we have an assembly once a month, and those kids are rewarded as the cleanest table in the cafeteria or the cleanest classroom. And then AR awards are done at that time. And then Brandy usually has a character trait of the month. Sometimes, you know, if, for example, if we start out with respect, the classroom that exhibited respect at that time, or we'll have kids that are chosen from those classrooms. Similar to Union's Student of the Month assembly. They're very similar, they're all rewarding good behavior. So this year, the last Friday of the month will be the Fremont Hay assembly, and the last Wednesday of the month will be Union Student of the Month assembly, just for doctoring on your calendar. And that's about it I have for dates that pertain to us that aren't just general district-wide things.
So PBIS is the 30th, and Student of the Month Union is the 28th, is that?
Wasn't there a grade day in October, like a Friday or something? Is that moved into November now?
Grade day is November 4th.
Seems like there was one for the last 2 years in October.
Last year, there was a staff development day in October.
Is that what it was? It seems like we had a Halloween
But this year,
off
we
or
don't have
something.
anything in September and October.
October, I saw that, it's all in November, I wasn't sure if we just got rid of it, or we moved it over.
Part of our schedules with our early release Wednesdays,
Wondering.
we used to have we've always had, for many years, we've had a professional development day in October. And we rolled some of those professional development days into our early release Wednesday times, and so we could balance out our time. So, any other questions for that report?
Did the buses didn't run then on Tuesday?
We don't for the elementary kiddos.
Thursdays.
The parents bring them and put their stuff away, and they're responsible to take them.
So it's just the middle schoolers that have the bus service for half a day. And then the poverty conference, when was that again?
October 13th and 14th?
And then they're gonna share that information like on the early release Wednesdays? Because we did hear a desire for that kind of training in our listening session.
And we're addressing, and that's one of the things that we're addressing.
Will they come here and share, or could we attend their sharing of?
You're welcome to come to our Wednesday, but I'm sure that they would be happy to come talk about what they've learned. He has a couple books that we've bought, a couple copies of that they've passed around a little bit. But these are people that came to me, a couple of them, and said, we'd really like to know more about this. And I think it's important that if we have teachers that want to learn more, we really need to help them learn and address those needs.
And what, will it be the following Wednesday? So they're gone the 13th, 14th, and then?
And I think that next Wednesday is when I have them scheduled, but I'd have to check on that. Would you like to come on Wednesday, or would you like them to come to a board meeting?
Certainly have them come and give a report here if you'd like.
Sure. Sure, I was just gonna minimize the amount they have to, and I could go sit in on it, but I mean,
Cover it on Wednesday.
It's up to you guys.
try to.
Your choice, Martin, I'm sure be happy to bring them here if you'd like. Your call.
What's the date on that Wednesday? Do you know?
Mm,
No, because it would be the 13th, 14th is the training.
I'm
About the
reluctant
20th.
to ask them to do
I
that.
think
19th,
the 20th, something like that,
Is
yeah.
it the 19th?
I'm out of town.
The following Wednesday is the 21st. I'm reluctant to ask teachers to come here if they don't have to. We
Yeah,
can go
I'll
there
I'll
and
go
listen.
to it, Susan.
Okay.
It's on the 21st though?
I'll email just a little bit of information to Rebecca.
Oh, was I?
I'll confirm that and the time and place and email that to you.
Yeah, can you help remind us?
It's the 19th.
Will you give us like a little, oh, they went to that conference in the board meeting before? I know it's not your job, but if you
No, I'm
think
happy
of
to.
it.
But I'm gonna send email
Oh,
Rebecca
okay, perfect.
information and she's gonna email you.
Okay, perfect.
Okay, thank you. Get another piece of paper for notes. 8.3.
Yes, we're gonna talk a little bit about last time we talked radon, we're gonna talk lead this time, so.
Sounds heavy.
Sounds heavy, yeah. The big news out in Flint, Michigan last year really opened up a lot of thought, a lot of concern in regard to lead and water, not just in Michigan, but everywhere. And it really drew the concern of the governor, Kate Brown, and over the summer legislation was passed in order for schools to mandatorily test the lead content in all water sources. We have done that. I've sent this out to the staff, haven't released it to the public yet, but we had one lead test, I believe in the middle of August. And that test basically, was immediate source water that had not been run through the taps all summer. So basically, your lead content at that point is going to be heavier, and it was. John Roberts took the samples, sent them off to the lab, and it came back that as far as the levels go, it's 0.20 parts per million is what the lead content is for it to be, quote, unsafe. So a number of our drinking fountains and kitchen sinks and things like that were right within that category. About 2 weeks later, John and Sam came back, per regulations, did the flush test, ran everything about 5 minutes through, and everything came back quite a bit lower. There were still some parts, plumbing fixtures in the district, older plumbing fixtures, case in point, like the older sinks down at Fremont that have the water fountains on the sink in the classrooms. Those came back heavier as far as lead goes, at the 0.20. But by and large, the drinking fountains in the hallways, the kitchen sinks, for water for the food, came in under the 0.20 level. Now, the big thing is, how do we remediate this? What do we do? Anything at the 0.20 level, we immediately red flag and we shut down. Anything that's, and if it involves additional, impedes the student's ability to receive water, we're going to bring in additional water to take care of that and remedy that from the water bottles and things like that. For a number of years, Union School, that's what they've had, is the water bottles out there. I think not so much because the water's dangerous out there, but because it just, from that well, just doesn't taste particularly good. So that's the history of Union. I can't say that for sure, but that's what I've heard in the years that I was the principal out there. Mrs. Warner, do you have any history on that?
It was my understanding the sodium levels were pretty high,
Mhm.
not dangerously high, but
Yeah.
it made it taste
Yeah.
it just off enough that I've never drank it, to be honest with you, 'cause I've always drank a bottle of water that's out there.
So here's what we're doing. We red flagged and we've taken anything that hits the 0.20 level out of service. Okay? Anything below the 1 is still adequate enough to use for either drinking or human use. And we're going to really evaluate all our plumbing, all our fixtures throughout the district and see if there are drinking fountains that we need to change out in order to bring that level down. Sometimes it's the plumbing within the fountain itself. And according to the town of Lakeview, we have to ask that question, well, town of Lakeview, have you tested your water? What is your lead limit in your water? Well, the town of Lakeview has stated that their level of lead in their water, it's lead-free. So that's our understanding from the town of Lakeview. So I guess to summarize this, we are addressing everything that we have tested through these lead tests. By bringing in, additional drinking water, shutting down the stations that we find that are lead heavy, and in addition, evaluating, our water fountains, our sinks and so on, to basically ascertain what plumbing fixtures we may need to replace to bring that lead level down.
If they tested higher than only the ones that, yeah.
Right.
So how many
It was just a handful.
Just a handful, like those older sinks in classrooms are the big item. And,
There was one water fountain at the high
Is that
school.
why it's
And
all
then-
taped in yellow?
Yeah,
yeah,
There's
and
one
then
in the
there's one at Fremont that, is a brand new, water faucet, but they don't use it. So they're actually gonna, pull that out of Fremont and take it to the high school and put it in, where the one is the worst.
So not a huge deal.
originally,
5 or 6 or
when we first
That-
did, when we did that first test, we were a little scared, I have to admit. After we did the second test, and we talked to other school districts like Klamath County, Klamath City, to see what their plans are, our level of concern went down. And long story short, we are concerned about our students, our public, and everything else, and we will fully comply with the standards related to lead as far as either addressing it through the plumbing or bringing in additional water, whatever.
I mean, just not that many to mitigate in the first place.
No.
So,
I have to prepare, ODE and the Oregon Health Authority have required every school district in the state of Oregon to provide a draft plan by October 1st, which includes a little radon plan out that you approved at the August meeting. I have to put a lead plan in. They're supposed to be providing me hopefully a template on that. And also an integrated pest management plan. So, the state of Oregon is really becoming safety conscious in regard to all these, these items, these three things, lead, I have to have, sorry, I forgot one more, asbestos. I've got to include asbestos in the plan too.
we did do the pest before. I remember reading through that
Mhm.
report.
So,
So will our plans address the cost to bring all of our drinking fountains and things up to lead
well, they
standard?
have a template that they want you to follow, and in the template, it's kind of interesting, I don't see anything there about cost.
Well, it seems like it'd be a pretty important year to do that from the
Mhm.
standpoint of the long legislative session
Right.
in February, to have something in place and get it to our
Right.
senators.
I'd be happy to do that, yeah, I'll
Representatives.
submit a cost analysis. And, the one thing that I've heard from, Oregon State Government, from Kate Brown, the governor, she's actively seeking funds to help us pay for these lead tests, which I think are about $400 or $500 a pop. But I haven't heard any commitment on her part to allocate any funds to help school districts replace plumbing fixtures.
And
And that's the cost, whatever we have to do on that, that's gonna be the real
Heard that
cost.
correctly.
will we retest the fountains
Mhm.
and make sure that it's not the piping below? There'll be another test as well.
We will continue to do periodic tests. That will be a part of the safety plan that I have to write, to submit, is the schedule and the timeline as far as when we do these tests.
Mhm.
What did we spend?
So,
About $800 just to do the test, but we haven't bought anything yet.
I mean, per source, correct? Or,
No.
oh.
overall,
Overall.
$500 per faucet.
Maybe that's our board
No.
travel fund.
No, in fact, I asked Sam today, when him and I met about that, when we originally thought that we were gonna replace every single faucet,
Right.
the whole 9 yards, it was ugly. But when we got the second set of ground tests, obviously it's quite a bit lower because you're flushing those lines out. When they sit stagnant for 2-3 months,
Right.
it's gonna be just like anything else, But we think roughly would be a couple thousand to repair some faucets.
versus originally, when we looked at replacing every fountain and
Yeah.
kitchen sink and everything, it was about 10,000.
So is it the faucets or is it the plumbing to get to the faucets?
Most of it is in the faucets, and most of it, like the one is in the drinking fountains. That's a big issue, those drinking fountains.
Is it in the high school ones that are newer with the push?
There's one in the high school that's not any good at all. But there's a brand new one in Fremont that the kids, I guess, don't ever utilize that one. So they're cap it off, pull it out, and take it and replace the one that's bad. High school. Kind of saves a little bit of money if we've got kids not using it, and might as well go to high school. Put it there where it's gonna get used.
It's been in the news a lot lately, and every school is required to give some sort of report or a public relations campaign on it, so. Yeah.
Any other questions or requests?
Are we still on? I don't have a lead request. Facilities request, or question. What was the status of the phones?
Oh.
Yeah, thank you.
Oh my gosh, good job. Well, actually,
That's what we're going back to 8.24.
we actually, we are waiting on CenturyLink to port all of our numbers. Union got ported, last week, and currently we're waiting on the facilities here, on this side of the world, to get ported. As soon as they get ported, all we gotta do is plug them in. So we've got wiring and everything set up to go. And I think everybody's probably got a phone sitting in their systems, or in their classrooms, and et cetera. So I know we're gonna have to do a few changing arounds of things, just that initial, let's get everything in, see where we are, and that sort of thing. So basically, we're just waiting for CenturyLink to port us, but we thought this week they should port us since they did Union, last week. So we're hoping for this week to get those ported.
Do we have to have training for it?
Oh, yes. Actually, Basin Telecom's being really good, and I think he's already trained my secretaries at the schools, because they'll be the first to go. The district office will be the last to go. We're the last one on the totem pole, so, but everything up there is gonna get first, and the plan is that he was training them and giving
And then
them.
will they just keep training through the buildings, or? Okay.
They're pretty, so, I mean, they're kind of pretty self-explanatory, so they're not
okay.
complicated.
Lisa and I called each other.
Hey, you guys are real? Okay.
We do have some violators that are trying them out, they can't stand it because they've been in there.
I didn't get the word that we weren't supposed to.
I was talking about elementary staff.
Oh.
If you want to incriminate yourself,
called out.
fine.
That's even too
Well, they put these shiny things in their room.
Shiny,
Yeah.
The one thing we're going to do that's put a lot of fear into the staff over the years is related to the active shooter piece. And that first professional development day, that morning in November, where it's grade day at the end of the 9 weeks, we're going to work with law enforcement, and we're going to do a practice drill using the new phones. So that's what we have in store as far as some sort of rehearsal as far as using new phones and being prepared.
Right.
And we're gonna run drills with the kids too?
No, that day it's just staff only, and then after we get that down, then we'll leave it on the buildings to do their own drills.
To do their own drills.
Yeah.
New business, or old business?
I have none, Madam Chair.
New business, 10.1.
We're bringing back Fremont Hay Union Staff Handbook, and I'm going to turn over to Mrs. Warner.
The changes are really pretty minimal. The reason I held off on this is because I wanted to put the hostile intruder piece in with our new phone system, but we really feel like we need to get something in place for the school year. And then what I'd like to do is talk about the changes, the small ones that I've made, and request that it's approved. And then later on in the year, after we've gone through this hostile intruder drill and we can work out the kinks with the phones and understand what we want to use, bring back an amended hostile intruder plan in the handbook. Okay. It's basic stuff, the table of contents, the new school calendar, and the staff page. Those are things that just get updated every year because they need to. So I don't know, are there any questions on numbers 1 through 3 in the handbook changes?
Mrs. Hicks. Have you seen this from kindergarten?
She's on the certified staff with Fremont Hay there, Tammy Hicks. Is that where you're looking, Stephanie?
I'm looking on the,
kindergarten, there's an open spot
Page-
above
yeah.
Michelle's name.
Page 3.
Ooh, cause the one I have that went to print has her on there. You guys maybe have an older one? Maybe?
I mean, it's not a big deal.
Okay.
Just-
Yeah, it's, the one that went out to the parents has her name on there.
Okay.
Anything else, or can I go on to number 4?
So I bet Mrs. Cahill's listed for music too.
She and Marjorie both were put on late, and I should have probably changed those on there and provided Rebecca with a more updated copy. I apologize about that. But they're all on the one that went to print right before we went through in-service, and went earth registration.
Actually, let's see. Yeah, it's not on our packet either, but anyway, it doesn't matter.
And so under Title I, Larissa Fryermuth and Liz Helling were also hired. They're all in the packet as well for the updates. Good to go on?
It's just good to know, because I think we're supposed to approve it, right?
Make a motion with staff updates as presented as staff updates.
Yeah, and number 4 is changes and updates on our daily time schedules. Last year when we went through a Division 22 audit, we talked about this in a prior board meeting, that we needed to release union 5 minutes later to complete our seat time for them, and so that schedule was updated in the handbook.
10 minutes later, right?
Pardon?
10 minutes later, or 5?
It was 5 minutes later, I think is what they were. And then on pages 9 and 10, we updated as many things as we could with the hostile intruder plan to be more current. There wasn't much in there about evacuating, because our prior protocol talked about kids just hiding in the room, but we didn't provide the teacher, or in our staff handbook, an evacuation plan. All the numbers, 1, 2, and 3, introduction, preventative measures, hostile intruder plan, the buzzers, all that stayed the same because I couldn't update those until we knew what our phone systems were gonna do. Bathroom protocol, stayed the same. Outside doors, I updated that a little bit. And then our lunch evacuation procedure. And on pages 9, 10, and 11, we just updated some of those things to be a little more current protocol, be more current with like, I love you guys.
So just to, on outside doors, what does your copy read?
Outside entrance doors shall not be locked. The north entrance doors at Hay will remain locked as they have for the past several years. Police will be made aware of custodial entrance. Due to seclusion, it will add an entrance that can't be readily visualized or inspected.
So it's just the staff page.
Are
That's,
we allowing, I thought we were allowing union to lock the doors. Are we allowing union to lock the doors?
We have talked about that quite a bit as a staff, and it's too problematic for the little guys going back and forth for intervention times. And so we have not introduced that as a protocol.
Be a headache.
Yeah.
But I'm happy to bring back an amendment to this with a protocol that we can work through at a later date. I just don't have enough information from our phone systems and what kind of signals that we're gonna be able to give. And I'd like to practice it with staff in November and then come back to you with a protocol that's useful for the staff.
oh, you'll have to have it in the materials too, right? With the phone system?
We have an intercom already, and
Oh.
We've never had an intercom system, so our staff really doesn't know how to interact with one and what to do with it.
I mean, that's completely understandable.
So, questions on number 5?
Number 5.
The hostile intruder fine.
Oh,
Page 5.
Well, it's number 5 on the staff handbook changes page. It's on pages 9, 10, and 11, the hostile
Got it.
intruder
Oh,
fine.
gotcha, I see it now, yeah, gotcha.
And then number 6 talks about leaves on page 20. If you guys are ready to move on, if you're not, we can hang out here in this section. So, when we started looking through this handbook last spring, the leave part of this was not consistent with the CBA. And so all I did was put in the exact same language as the CBA and took it right out of that. It was not consistent, and it really needed to be, so that when we get in situations when we have folks that are exhausting their leave, they really need to be accountable to have read this and or their CBA. So I wanted it to be both places and have it consistent. Just clean that up a little bit.
So we have to approve this? Is that-
Yeah, I recommend you approve it.
and this is
Unless you have
staff
something.
handbook.
No, I just thinking of when the phone system changes, I mean, what am I gonna provide as far as, oh no, you should do one bill and not 2 bills for the hostile intruder, I mean.
Well, but I do appreciate extra eyes on it. The more eyes we have on it, the cleaner and better it's gonna be as far as things that we don't think about and you do on the outside coming in as a parent.
But this is not the same as the student handbook that went out,
No.
this is just for your staff.
Staff.
This is a staff handbook, they have a copy of it, and they could, and what I would do is, they have this to work off of for the year, and
Sure.
it's current as far as the leaves and things like that. But they can have an amendment with the protocol, because they're gonna need it handy to practice, and then we would reprint these, you know,
Yeah.
at a later date, like next year for registration. I'm not gonna reprint all of them again, but they can have an amendment to it.
Okay.
Do you guys wanna look at the few corrections that were on this, like the staff, the folks that we added for staff that you didn't have a copy of?
Well, I think it was just the.
It was just the placements of the new hires that were real late.
So we can just approve it with, as presented with staff updates.
Okay.
How many hours a week does a classified employee work?
They're either 7 or 7.5 each day, depending on their schedule.
So they work about 36 hours times 20%. What's that?
What do you mean for their
Their
sick
sick leave.
sick leave?
7.2. Well, a ton of emphasis on sick leave and very little annual leave in your guys' plans. Just noticing.
Well,
They're entitled to 3 days.
3 days,
Yeah, they
But-
have 3 days of annual leave,
And
which
then
is
they-
a bargained.
7.2,
7.2.
and then if they don't, then they can move, they bargain to move 2, if they don't use their annual leave, they can move 2 days into the next year.
Negotiations are coming up though, Barry, we can definitely. Absolutely.
but in addition to that, if we don't have a contact day with students, other than our first year with in-service, they're not required to work. So they do have quite a few days off as far as being able to schedule things if they would like to, as a part of their bargaining agreement.
And did this sick leave didn't get it, is different than the sick leave we wrestled with earlier. That had to do with part-time or subs, or this is completely
This-
different.
Right.
Right, okay.
Right, correct.
Okay. Okay. Is there any other questions for her? We can add the locked door to a work discussion.
Yeah, I think it is.
So, in the meantime, do I have a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion to approve the Fremont Hay and Union Staff Handbook 2016-17 with the added updated staff.
I'll second that.
Okay, any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you. Union board meeting discussion.
I discussed this with Mrs. Warner, and Mrs. Warner had a couple of thoughts as far as the union board meeting discussion, so she's doing such a marvelous job of articulating herself this evening, I'll just turn right back to her.
Well, I feel like we have lots of great projects going on, and maybe we skip a year with Union. We go to Union and have a board meeting every year, and I just threw out having one at Hay or just having a tour of the Hay project for you guys in lieu of the Union meeting this year, and then go every other year to Union for board meetings. It's up to you guys. I'm happy to host
Well, the
a
other-
Union board meeting
The
and
other
do a.
suggestion you had was do it in the spring when they were beginning their
Oh,
garden
yeah,
project,
yeah.
Yeah.
so
When we
anyway.
thought that they-
Or once the greenhouse is built, it would be kind of fun to.
That's what we were thinking.
That's what we were
This-
thinking
yeah.
about,
You-
yeah.
Thank you for reminding me. Well,
You get the greenhouse in the garden, we go out and, as a meeting and take a
in
look
the
at
spring
that.
instead.
In the spring instead, yeah.
We just don't have a whole lot, we've had something new and exciting every year to show you guys out at Union, and we really don't right now because the greenhouse isn't up. But we do at Hay, and we could just, I don't wanna make more work for Rebecca as far as moving all this stuff, but I would like to have you guys get to tour kind of phase 2 of the project and look at phase 1. And then, maybe do Union in the spring, if you want to.
My suggestion
year.
be at the next,
I'm open to doing them both. I like the both. I don't wanna leave Union out there, cause I think sometimes they feel like they're out there.
I know some school boards have a meeting at every school. They came to Y once a year, Bonanza once a year.
We don't have a home. Again, we can help Rebecca if she needs help.
We can do
Moving
that.
our
That's
red
what it
show.
That was my comment, is that whatever the teachers would like is what we should do. We don't have, because we were talking about being out there in November and it was very cold and.
Dark.
So if they had something they wanted to show us, we would not have time to do that. So I didn't know if they had anything planted or the kids were harvesting anything.
They've harvested a little bit of
Think about-
stuff this last week.
the November meeting, we rarely get any parents to show up to.
Right. So,
Yeah, I mean, we can do whatever you want to. And just,
It's up to you guys. Give me the direction that you would like to go.
I
And
think
I'm
A
happy to
Fremont's a good idea.
yeah, and probably sooner so we can see it.
and then will you ask Union when they'd like, I mean, do they want us to see the greenhouse built, or do they wanna see the greenhouse in the spring with food in it? I mean,
I
what
think
works
they would
best?
like to do it as late as possible in the spring so that they could have as much growing as possible.
It might be spring before the greenhouse gets up. Anyway.
I'd suggest, we do wanna showcase the Hay playground. Of course, we're getting down into setting the agenda for the next meeting down later on, but, starting off the work session down at, 80 Hay playground at the next meeting.
26th, sound good to you guys?
Yeah.
Okay, is that enough time?
Sure is.
Okay, perfect, so. Do I have a motion?
I move that we hold our regularly scheduled board meeting on Monday, September 26th at Hay Elementary School.
Second.
I second.
Any
And
further
before we
discussion?
move into it, you want the board meeting down there too?
Oh, yeah.
The whole 9 yards, board meeting and work session?
Or should we have it in the library?
Probably the library, I would guess.
We'll find a place conducive for Rebecca and all of her cords.
Have cords will move.
Of course, we'll move
I'm
this
sure
right.
we can go back to the old paper version of these meetings if we have to.
I'd rather save the trees and use computers.
I'm a forester, let's cut the trees.
Let's cut the trees.
Okay, moved and seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Mechanical operations, transportation,
Would you
job
like-
description, discussion and approval.
Would you like anything in there about your plans for the union meeting, since that was kind of the agenda item?
No.
It's just to be.
We can we can do, we can
determine the
have, right now we moved it to 80 Hay. We want to go ahead and say, make another motion, counter motion, school board meeting at Union School upon completion of the greenhouse.
I think that would,
How's that
that
sound?
would be fine. I will remember and bring it back to you.
Plan it tentatively or no?
I don't think we need a motion, I think we can just, you can put it in the minutes that we'll meet in Union in the spring.
And,
Okay.
and please let Union know, we would just throw them out. We're coming.
I will do that.
Okay.
Neighborhood music.
So mechanical operations transportation job description, it used to have a little sidebar that says confidential employee. They're no longer confidential employees, so we have to go back through and redo all of these job descriptions. They are a classified employee at this point. We made them effective July 1. My apologies that it is now September. That's the big change, is that they are part of the classified. So that is the agenda for all three situations.
That's the only change to all three job descriptions is,
And I think who they report to, which they were scattered all over the place, so we centralized it. All three of these guys are in my court.
so do they have any questions for? Keith? So I did read through them and I'm thinking, well, I don't have anything to compare it to.
I know, we should have put a little bit of an explanation. I didn't write a.
Yeah,
Have an
responsible to the
opportunity.
business manager used to be the maintenance supervisor, and of course that position more or less is gone. That used to be the position held by Mr. Tatro. So
Right, okay.
that's another difference too. So,
Where's the, where does it talk about how much the job pays?
That's on their contract, not in their job description.
Oh, it's job description.
Yeah.
Do you have a motion?
I move that we approve the mechanical operations transportation job description as presented.
I'll second.
Any further discussion? Question? All in favor?
Aye.
Right.
10.4, district-wide maintenance job description, discussion and approval.
Wait, we just did that one.
Same deal.
First one was mechanical. We got three.
Yeah.
There's 3 of them out there.
I know that it both, it all sounds the same.
Sounds the same.
And if you get to reading it, some of it is the same. I'm not
Oh, it
gonna
was,
lie.
yeah. Thinking, ah, I just
Uh,
lost my copy of
mhm.
the old one.
This is the same deal then.
Same deal.
Okay.
Yeah,
Supervisor, etc.
I move that we approve the district-wide maintenance job description as presented.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
10.5, facilities operations coordinator job description.
Same situation.
Okay.
I move that we approve the facilities operations coordinator job description as presented.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Okay, consent agenda.
remind you, 11.2, you have an amended copy. You probably need to state that in your motion, consent agenda with the amendment to 11.2.
So an updated 11.2 and then the amendment to policy KGB.
Yes.
That's the one policy I'm gonna say all the time. Our board policy KGB.
Looks different, huh?
Yeah. Let's see, so what was it, Rebecca, with the amendment to?
There's an update to 11.2, elementary volunteers approval, and then the amendment to 11.3, board policy KBG.
So just the word amendments,
Correct, yeah.
Because it's described in our
work session,
session.
okay. Okay. So do I have a motion?
I move that we approve the consent agenda with the changes made on 11.2 to update it and amend 11.3.
Okay.
Sorry, I almost read it out loud.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Announcements.
12.1, I would like to remind you of the Lake County OSBA Fall Regional Meeting held up in Paisley on Tuesday, October 25th at 6 o'clock. The time we meet for the next October meeting, please give me some notion as if you'll be attending that or not, and so we can go ahead and place RSVP in as far as the meal part goes. So, always most informative. I'll have the expedition I'll be taking it in case any of you want to travel with me, and
Just can't talk to each other, right?
no agenda items discussed in that expedition, nope. But
Football instead.
it is always, I think I stated at the last meeting, it is always a very informative meeting. Jim Green, I have a lot of appreciation for Jim Green with OSBA. He's very astute in the ways of legislation and everything else. I'm going to be quite anxious to hear what he has to say as far as the November election and the implications it's going to have on schools as far as, you know, what the possible election results may be and where that's going to head the Oregon State Legislature come January. I'm sure that the other discussion he is really probably going to engage in is Measure 97, which is going to gain a lot of media attention if it hasn't already, related to that tax hike on corporations. And then Measure 98, which, is a measure to benefit CTE. So I'm sure those two things will be at the forefront as far as this discussion goes. Measure 99, outdoor schools. I haven't heard much about that in the media, but I'm sure Jim Green will be, also touching on that as well.
12.2, OSBA State Convention.
It's time to start thinking about the OSBA State Convention, leave on November 10th, and the convention dates are the 11th, 12th, and 13th. We kind of have a discussion about our new member, Mr. Schulenberger, attending, and it sounds like he is interested in going, correct?
Unless Dustin wants to go.
Be out of town. Thank you.
So, unless,
You go, I'll go.
so anyway, we will, Mrs. Hargis and I will tomorrow, we will go ahead and make arrangements and set it up for you to be able to travel to the OSBA State Convention, so very excited about that. You get the new member discount too on registration, so.
Well, we're gonna use our budget for the thing we didn't do with the scholarship.
Yeah,
The
that's
training thing.
this is channeling into that.
Right, so
Which we didn't,
we're not limited to just sending one person.
How much does it cost though? The
Well-
rooms are spendy.
Well, I thought we didn't decimate our budget though with that.
we didn't put in the budget for that,
Oh, just one,
just one.
sorry, Amy.
I'm sorry,
I spoke
Amy.
too fast.
Sorry.
I never do that, by the way.
The parking up there was ridiculous. I mean,
Where's it
Portland. And even
Yep,
if
yep.
you're staying in the hotel, they charge like a ridiculous amount.
at? Plenty of coverings you can sleep on.
Okay. Anyway,
Taking your RV.
next board meeting agenda items. There's an idea, our camper's not.
Well, we'll get into work session, we will be at ADA for the motion in the new business piece here, and we'll go ahead and do a work session visiting the ADA playground. I will be returning with an executive session item related to the property thing, and then an update on district goal setting.
Okay. Annie, did you want to talk about the door?
Yes, please.
So the security of the union school door.
Mrs. Warner and I could have a meeting with the union teachers and discuss it with them.
That's something we've had on the list for a while, so prior to you. That was one of our first listening sessions out there.
And that was the second listening session.
Okay?
Was security in general or locking the doors?
Security in general,
Mm-hmm.
but no one can see that door. Is that correct?
There was some concern on controlling access, really. Not necessarily that the door would be locked, but just how do you know when somebody shows up? And they're not showing up in your room behind you.
And, like the blow up ladder, we kind of talked about, or the blow up slide.
Oh, exit,
You know,
upstairs.
you can have kids chucking and a blow up slide, and you can multitask.
We have an ASP report next meeting.
Is it time for us to start talking about evaluations? Seems like we did that last fall.
Well, we did it early
Versus, oh, prior to the hiring.
Because
We're not
it
there
was,
yet, right?
Right, that'll March.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Unless you want.
I just
to do it now.
It felt like we did it like fall.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If I'm on the firing line already.
Right, okay. Okay.
No, that first
You
year
don't
we
need-
started early. Okay, anything else?
Let's take some time.
14, adjournment.
I mean, that would be good.
I'll second.
All in favor?
We're actually not gonna adjourn.
We're heading back into work
Oh, that's
session.
right.
So we're just gonna go
That's
back
really
into
We're
work session.
jumping back to work session.
Thank you again for clearing